Welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to talk about something that you'll never hear about. That's fans. The reason I jest about not hearing them, you probably hear that, is the wind noise. The wind noise, and you making YouTube videos, you know, you just can't get away from it most of the time. And the way I deal with it is I turn the fans off. So even though I have quite a few fans in my shop, you never hear them. This is a small fan that my little brother had restored and given to my older brother, and it had stopped working. I think it had tightened up, and anyway, but it works fine now. I need to touch it up a little bit. My older brother lives near the saltwater, so it doesn't take long for things to corrode. But I have some new fans. The old fans are not what I'm interested in today. I'm going to talk about what I actually use in the shop and show you a little bit about them. And when I say show you a little bit about them, I'm going to learn along the way. I bought a new kind of fan that I've never had before, so this is going to be new for all of us. Let me go ahead and get started with the fans that I use every day. This is my Air King fan. It is an oscillating fan. I believe it's marketed as maybe a 30-inch fan. The numbers that they give you are marketing wank. It doesn't measure 30 inches any way you measure it. I could be wrong, maybe it's smaller, but it's not a 24 and it's not a 30. Those are usually the common sizes. It's an outstanding fan, high, medium, low, and oscillating. It moves quite a bit of air. I have it sort of pointed towards the work area that I was at the time, last time I was in the shop. So, well, that's the most typical kind of fan that most people expect to see. This is actually my favorite style fan. It is a squirrel cage fan. This is a Lesco. I've been very happy with the Lesco brand. It is not quite as industrial as some of the other fans I have, yet it is more refined. It is ultra quiet and it moves a lot of air. Now, it is hard to demonstrate what's happening here, but I'm probably 30 feet away, 25, 30 feet away. The fan is on low. And there's a nice stiff wind. Here's just one regular old red shop rag. And you can see that that's blowing. The garage door is shut there and I'm perpendicular to the outside. Trust me, there's no wind outside. And on high, again, a pretty significant amount of improvement between the low and the high. It'd be very difficult for you to appreciate the difference, how quiet it is. I would say that this is less than half as quiet as less than half as loud as the big fan. If I buy this stuff, I might as well use it. Now I have the big fan on, I'm staying in the same spot. When I said the Lesco is less commercial, in terms of robustness or build quality, this is what I was comparing it to. The XPower, I've been extremely happy with this fan. It is not as quiet as the Lesco. However, it is very sturdy. It's got a great design. We can wrap the cord around the handle. It's got the 3 switches on it. I've got a couple of these. My little brother has the other ones. The other ones have timers on them, which are very handy. And then they have the ability to plug into the side so you can daisy chain these. These XPowers, I've been very happy with them, and I don't think I can show you anything in terms of sound. Again, it's similar to the Lesco, but just fractionally louder than the Lesco, but quieter than the paddle fan. Now, this is my biggest fan. It's also my most expensive fan. Bought it from a drug-addicted guy that was selling tools. He was a competent mechanic, but developed a drug problem, and somebody was going to buy it. I bought both of them. The other one's at my little brother's house. This is a Portercool Cyclone. It is an evaporative cooler. In most parts of the country where the humidity isn't 100%, this is an excellent tool for cooling. In Florida, there's probably only a few days out of the year where the cooling actually helps. In most cases, it would hurt you. As it increases the wet bulb temperature, the way it feels, it would feel worse. In terms of sound, it is also very quiet. The squirrel cage style fans, I think, again, are my favorite. They're superior air movers. They are superior air movers up until you get to read about some of these drum fans. This is a scratch and dent, and for those of you that don't know, on the left hand side of the Amazon thing, you'll see a thing that says used. Typically when a tool or whatever you're buying, if the packaging gets messed up, they have to repackage it. And this is, you know, what you get. It's slightly different than what it would be from factory, but effectively it's, you know, just as good. This is my new XPower Drum style fan. It's got 4 speeds. You get a little bit better quality in terms of features. It's got a timer on it, 4 speed, extremely just so well made. Everything is, there's no complicatedness. Everything's just nice design. The fit finish of it is excellent. This is on low right now. .44 decibels, and I'm 2 feet from it. As I understand it, these are called air movers, and when you have flood damaged home or something like that, you want to get the moist air out of the house and get the cooler or get the drier air in. So they will position these throughout the house from the wettest spot to the driest spot, and they will use the carpet drying style, you know, this style that's made to set on the ground and dry the floor. Use that to dry the floor out, and then that, you know, evaporates, and then they move that air out with the other style fan. Consequently, the parameter that you're looking for here is how can you move as much air as far as you can. It means you need less fans in series. So if you could shoot this thing 50 feet down the road or towards the window or whatever, that's the performance measure that would be, you know, the further you could blow air away would be good. And for me, that sort of is a double function in the shop. I can put this on the other side of the shop and have it blow over and reach me without it being right up my, you know, right underfoot or right in my ear, right next to the camera. I think this fan, as it were now, it could probably let it run and shoot a video without too much wind noise, as long as the camera's not. And I don't know what that sounds like. I'll only know later on when I'm editing. But let's take some of these fans out, and we're just going to plug them in, and I'm going to walk away, and we'll see, you know, how far away we can feel each fan and walk it off and see what the distance is. Getting some very interesting wind readings. It sort of picks up and down. I wheeled this off, and it's between 12 and 15 feet is where it really starts to die off. But you can see that I'm getting pretty good flow this bag, but then it falls off relatively quickly. Wish I had a pom-pom or something. So that's the small Lesco or the small XPower on high. It's pretty impressive. I have to wheel that off, but I've got flow all the way out to here. I got 40 feet. High. How this works is you fill the bottom chamber up with water. I think it holds 20 some odd gallons, and then there's a circulator pump in there and a distribution bar across the top, and it rains water down on these very expensive cardboard slats, and the air gets pulled through there, and then that evaporative cooling is what cools you off. When the humidity is lower, I'd say I'm about 30 feet or so, and it's about where it ends. Which is relatively impressive for a small fan. It's high. So that's quite nice. This fan is not a cheap fan, but I don't know if I completely finished my thought earlier, but on Amazon, on the left-hand side, there's a section that says used, and you can get a significant discount on things when they're not packaged properly or they've been returned or so on and so forth. And I have quite a bit of things that I've bought quite cheaply on Amazon, and I think that's the good way to get a deal on some tools. Or maybe a deal isn't quite there, but to not pay as much and get nice stuff. So if you're not in a hurry for things and you're patient, for instance, this thing, I think I saved $50 on it. It's like a $180 fan. and I think I got it for 120. So I get very like that sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But I've had so many junky fans over the years that they're not worth spending the $50 on them. It's good money after bad buying cheap stuff. And I'm slowly starting to disabuse myself of, trying to save a bargain, save a buck here, save a buck there, buying cheap stuff. It ends up being more expensive in the long run. So, or it's loud and obnoxious or finicky. And I've had good luck with the XPower stuff, so I think this is going to serve me well. There's also another thing on Amazon. While I've got your attention, if you're still here, oh no, it's outside of Amazon. It's called Camel Camel Camel, and I'll put an image of it up. And even though it sounds goofy, it will enable you to look at the price points on things. And for higher ticket items, I always, when I bought my plasma cutter or my welder, I kept an eye on the Camel 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 and said, is this a good time to buy things? Because prices will fluctuate. And we'll go ahead and just while we're looking at this thing, let me go ahead and put up an image of what Camel 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 shows for this particular fan. And we'll see. I didn't check Camel 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 when I bought this, but we'll just use this as a case example, and I didn't do this math ahead of time, but we'll do it now and see what kind of deal I got. So I don't know the results, but I'm going to close this video out and put the fans up and give you there's a couple people that watch the channel that actually care about the chickens. Let me give you a quick shot of those. So they're getting quite big. Last week they started laying eggs. I think up till now I've got 26 eggs since in 6 days out of 9 chickens, and I think they're going to ramp up. It's a little messy. I feed them on paper plates, and I come back and pick them up and throw them in the garbage can. But they seem to be happy out here. These are the Rhode Island Reds, and then these other ones running around are going to go to my little brother's house. There's some Wyandottes. And I don't even know, Leghorns. But that's an update for the chickens, and I just want to say, if you're still watching, thanks. I hope you're having a good day.